Hello, people. You're welcome to ProUp Masterclass. My name is Tola T.A. Alabi, and in today's class, I want to take some time to talk on why people um, sometimes go through this emotion of confusion, not knowing what to do, not knowing what to choose out of two choices that they have, two or more choices they have, not having the courage to follow through on what is obviously the right choice. Why people stay in jobs that they know they hate. They stay in environments that they know is counterproductive to their personal growth. I really want to take some time to talk about this because a lot of times I get questions from people and asking me what to do in certain scenarios. And for me, when they ask me these questions, it's so obvious what to do. Even from hearing them talk, you know that they know what to do. But then there's this cloud of confusion that they seem to be totally immersed in that stops them from acting. So it's almost like a deer that is stuck by the sight of headlights. The deer knows that the best thing to do is to get off that road, but it just seems grounded. I don't know if you've ever seen a deer in headlights. I've always heard that expression, but I saw it once in my life and I just saw the deer on the road and the thing just froze on the road. It just froze with the car approaching it. So it just became a sitting duck, you understand? It just waited for the inevitable. Luckily, it didn't get knocked down because the car kind of swerved from it. But then at that moment, it became a statue. And at that moment, there was only one decision to get out of the road. But then it was like stuck in this hypnotic state. And I in my mind could see that this thing was caught up in confusion of what to do at that time. And most of the time, they get knocked down. They get knocked down by vehicles and they lose their lives. And this happens to us too as human beings, where um, confusion like keeps us locked down in bad jobs, bad relationships, bad environments. And I really want to talk about why people don't make the best decisions for their lives. And it all comes down to understanding our makeup as human beings. I realize that a lot of us do not really understand our makeup as human beings. And it's highly important because that's what we are. That's what we are. We are human beings. And I realize that a lot of people think they are the jobs they do. So the first thing when you ask who they are, they tell you what they spend most of their time doing. So if they're students, they'll tell you, oh, what are you? Oh, tell me about yourself. A lot of times they'll tell you, I'm a student. Or if they are a particular profession, oh, I'm a doctor, I'm a dentist, I'm an architect, I'm a writer, but that's not who you are. There is a hierarchy, and this is something I kind of learned from watching Cesar Milan, who is a dog trainer or dog psychologist, and he had this show called Dog Whisperer. And whenever he meant to meet clients, it was always interesting to me when he what normally told his clients. He would have some clients and approaching them, the clients would be like, oh, I have a Yorkshire Terrier, and you know how energetic and how stressful they can be to handle. Or I have a German Shepherd, and you know how protective they can be and how they back a lot. And a lot of times he always corrected them and said, no, 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 no. There's a hierarchy to things. He said there's first the species and then there's the breed. And he said he always tell people, stop talking about the breed first. Talk about the species. First of all, you have a dog, and all dogs are a certain way. So he focused from the species characteristic, not the breed characteristic. And that breed characteristics make people kind of excuse themselves for some bad behavior. So they excuse some dogs from for doing some certain things and they say, oh, it's a bulldog, they do this. And I said, no, it's a dog. It ought to do this. So he corrects the breed to go back to doing what the species should do. And that's what I'm trying to do here. A lot of people think they're their jobs, they're their education, they're their background. So they're like, oh, I am this, I am a doctor, so that's why I do things this way. I am a lawyer, I am a this, I am a black person, I'm a white person, I'm a Nigerian. No, first of all, you are a human being. And the first thing we must connect to is what the species does, not what the race does, not what the ethnicity does. It is what the species does, what the human being does. And for every human being, we have a makeup. And when I ask people what's the makeup of a human being, a lot of people say body, mind, and spirit, or body, spirit, and soul. And well, these answers are kind of correct, but I'm going to try to make it more accurate. When you say body, mind, and spirit, it's the right answer, but then you said one thing twice, which is the mind, body, mind, and spirit. Yeah. And that's kind of correct. So you said body, mind, and spirit, and that's true. But then no human being is born with a spirit, so we must take that spirit out. Spirit is an external attachment. We are not born with spirit. We are born with a body, and we are born with a mind. And I think a more superior name for this thing called the mind is the soul. You understand? So we are born with a body and a soul. We are not born with a spirit. We're not born with a spirit. We take on a spirit. We take on a spirit. We can take on several spirits. Some people have 500 spirits living within them. Some people have one spirit living within them. But everybody has a spirit. Everybody, you must take on a spirit. You understand? And I'll come to talking about the spirit later on. But we all have a body and we have a soul. So when you say body and mind, that's true. But then a lot of times when people say mind, why I want to take our attention off that word mind is because when we think of the mind, we think of the brain, and that's not right. The mind is not the brain. The brain is part of the body, and so let's take our attention off that word mind and let's replace it with the word soul. Because when people think soul, very people think of the brain. So it's detached, it's a word that is detached from the brain. So it's to allow us to really separate the two. So we think body and soul. The body, the body is that part that we are very used to. We are very familiar with the body. In fact, we are over familiar with the body. We know everything about our body. So when we ask people, or you ask anybody who they are, a lot of times they will describe their body. Tell me about yourself. After they've talked about their occupation, describe yourself. They will describe their body. I am tall, I am short, I am light complexion, I am dark complexion, I am skinny, I am fat. They talk about these things and they even go into detail. They can tell you what their blood group is, what their genotype is. Some people know what their blood pressure is per time. Some people know, they know exact, they know the exact height in meters, in feet, and stuff like that. We are so informed about our body. We are so informed about our body, and that's not a bad thing. It's a good thing because we have the body. The information about the body is important, but then we're not informed about this thing called the soul that we have. A lot of people acknowledge the fact that they have souls, but they don't even know what the soul is for. They don't know why they have this thing called the soul. They think they know, but for them it's some abstract type thing. So, when people talk about do what's good for your soul, do what's good for your soul, they don't understand it. What's the soul? What's this thing called the soul? You understand? So people use this word soul, and talk about soulmate, soul food, soul this. The soul has become this kind of exotic thing that just makes us feel like we are extra intellectual, extra spiritual. You understand? It's just that word that you use when you just want to talk about walking on another level. You understand? So we don't truly understand what the soul is. A lot of us don't understand why we have this thing called the soul, and what it actually does for us. We don't understand. And so today I want to talk about the soul because this is the reason why people are confused. This soul. You understand? Why people find it hard to make those good decisions is because of the soul. It's because of a lack of understanding of this equipment called the soul that we possess. Every single one of us possesses. So when people think about the soul, I think the best knowledge people have about the soul is that the soul will continue living even when the body dies. So we see the soul as that thing that goes to heaven or goes to hell. For those of you that believe in heaven and hell, you understand that goes to heaven or goes to hell. But personally, I do believe there's a heaven and hell. I believe there's a life after here. So for those of you that do believe and have come to that understanding, the understanding of the truth that there is a heaven and hell, you believe that the soul is that thing that you must drag to heaven and avoid from going to hell. So the soul now becomes this thing that you drag around earth while you're alive, and you're trying to get it to this destination called heaven and get it to prevent it from going to an eternity called hell. But the soul is more than something you drag around on earth to get it safely to its destination in heaven. No. The soul is very important for you even here on earth. It wasn't given to you solely to get it to heaven. No. It wasn't given for that reason. It was given to guide you here on earth. So the soul is not just something that enjoys life in the hereafter. It is something that should enjoy life here right now, in the immediate right now. And so our ability to connect with this soul is our ability to enjoy the fullness of what this life has to offer us. So I'm going to try to explain what actually the soul does and what the function of the soul is. Try to describe what the soul is to us. So I'm going to try. I'm going to try my best. Now, the soul, if you want to think about it, is a compendium of knowledge. It's a compendium of knowledge. It's an accumulation of raw data, raw knowledge, as in knowledge unadulterated. That's what the soul is. We are born with this compendium of knowledge. So to explain this further, when you buy like a phone or a gadget or whatever it is, you buy it and then you have the actual physical gadget. But then you have this other thing that comes with the gadget, which is like might be a few pages of information. You understand? It might be small, it might be one page of stuff, but then everything comes with it. Everything, every product. So if even when you buy a drug, when you buy the drug, you open it up, you see a leaflet in it that talks about, gives you information, and then there's the actual drug that you can feel, that you can smell, that you can taste. Now that's like the body and the soul. The body is the drug, the gadget, the product, that thing you can feel, that thing that you use on a daily. You understand? That thing that you actually interact with, that thing that you saw on the shelf. Now, the soul is that thing that is inside that packaging that you take out that has information. It has information. It has everything about that drug, how it should be used, that dosage, how it should be administered, that gadget, when you should put it on, whether you should charge it first. You see, when I used to buy phones, initially, very early on, it was on my wife that told me, because I very, very bad in reading manuals. I don't really read manuals. My wife is, on the other hand, is stickler for reading manuals. So you see, most of my phones, I always had battery issues. And my wife told me the reason why I have battery issues is because you don't read the manual and you don't charge it before you use it. You just put it on and just start using it. And you see, when I started reading the manual, I realized the manual would actually state it that charge the battery for up to 16 hours before you start using it. You understand? So my wife always used to do that, and then she got the best out of the gadget, but I never did that. You understand? So the soul is that manual that a lot of us don't bother to read because we sought out to buy a phone, and the manual is just paper. It doesn't look anything like the phone, so we don't see them. We don't even see the attachment between them, but the manual is actually part of that product that you bought, and probably one of the most important parts of the product, because it teaches you how to use that product. So the soul is a compendium of information, of knowledge. It teaches you what to do in life. You see, I tell people, and this is why when I tell people, the answer is within you already. A lot of people don't understand. You already know the answer. So when people say, I'm confused about what to do, I don't know what to do, I don't know, I say, the answer is within you. The problem is you're not used to reading the manual. You never read that manual. So that manual is tattered, or that manual is still stuck in the box somewhere, put away. Some of you have totally lost the manual. You need to reconnect back with it. But the answer is within you. The soul is a compendium of answers for your whole existence on earth. So God, when created you, knew that you would have challenges, issues, experiences that need answers, choices that you would make. He knew, God knows everything. He knows the beginning from the end. So he knows the end first, and then he can walk back to the beginning. So he knows everything you're going to go through in life. And then before he sent you to earth as a product, as your manufacturer, he put all the answers in that manual called your soul, and he gave it to you. The problem is that we don't access it. So the soul is a compendium of all the knowledge you need, all the knowledge. So when you meet someone that's always confused, always saying, I don't know what to do, I'm so confused, I don't know what to do about this, can you help me make this decision, can you help me choose? People that are very, very, very indecisive about stuff, always about, should I do this, am I doing the right thing, should I do this, am I doing the right? It shows that those people are I won't say detached, but are kind of estranged from their soul. You understand? The soul is so far from them. The soul is so far, so deep inside them that they don't access it anymore. You understand? And when I meet anybody, the level of their confusion shows me the level of their detachment or their estrangement from their soul. Because the soul has all the answers. All the answers you need is within your soul. But your soul struggles to get its voice out because a lot of us are so body minded. So we depend more on this resource called our brain. And I tell people that the brain in itself is not a reasoning equipment. It is not. It's not. It's not a reasoning equipment. It is a rationalizing equipment. So it rationalizes. And what does that mean? The brain only works with information it is given. If you don't give the brain information, it cannot work outside of the information it knows. And the brain gets its information by something called experience. And the experience can be done in two ways. The experience can be learned, or the experience can be an exposure. So what I mean is that it's either the brain experiences something, that you actually go through something. You understand? So so it might be exposure like. You understand? So it's something that actually happened to you. It happened to you, so you've been exposed to it. You were exposed to that experience. And for that, the brain will store that. It's a storage device. So it stores, it has a little compartment. So it stores. So it stores that exposure, that experienced exposure. And so it puts it in one way. Oh, when I went here, I fell. So I'm going to store that. This is where I fell. So people fall here. So he puts it there. That's an exposure. You actually fell. You understand? It happened. So that was an experience. Now, it can be a learned experience where somebody tells you, oh, I went to this place and I fell. And that person is like an authority or someone you've learned to trust. So that's why school can be a very dangerous place sometimes if you are not learning the right thing. But they'll tell you, oh, this is what happens when you do this. And so you learn that experience. So they say, I've been told that this is where people fall. So the brain stores that. So whenever that place is mentioned, the brain goes to its storage, to its cabinet, because it's a storage device, and just what does this place mean? And then it goes to the exposure or to the education, and then it gets the experience. It rationalizes it. You understand? And just say, okay, should I go there? Should I not go there? Based on my experience or based on my learning, this is what I should do. So it's not reasoning. It is rationalizing. You understand? It rationalizes. The brain is the rational equipment that we have, and it helps us to get through life. It helps us, but we only get through life on a lower tier than what we are expected to. You understand? So your brain goes to experience. So when a lot of people come and tell me, should I leave my job? And you know the job is denying you time with family, the job is denying you time for prayer, the job is affecting your health, you know. I'm like, what do you think? Then the brain now goes to that rational place and now says, if I leave my job, how will I eat? Because it's either they've gone through it before, or they've seen someone, they saw their father go through it or stuff like that. They've experienced it when they didn't have money and they were hungry, they couldn't afford it, so the brain just goes to that cabinet. This is what you should do. Or they've learnt it. A lot of times people learn this thing. They've been told by what they watch, what they read. If you don't do this, by the music they listen to. If you don't do this, you won't eat. If you quit your job, you will end up struggling. No, all those movies, those Nollywood movies you watch and stuff like that, all those things you watch, all those things kind of influence you, and then you go to your cabinet, and your cabinet tells you what to do. It tells you based on what you have learned or what you have gone through in the past, don't leave your job because this is the outcome. So it rationalizes that and it gives you an outcome. But then your soul might be telling you something very different, because your soul is a reasoning equipment. It's a reasoning facility that you have within you. And what is reasoning? Reasoning is made up of three things. Reasoning, which your soul does, is made up of three things. It's made up of your imagination, your passion, and your intuition. Your imagination, your passion, and your intuition. Those are the three things that make up reasoning. Imagination, passion, and intuition. You see, the body, through the brain, when you rationalize, you make a decision. You make it. It's like going to a kitchen to cook. You understand? You actually make your food. You make your food. You understand? So you make it. So it goes, and that's why you spend time thinking. It takes some time, and that's why that deer is stuck in headlights. You understand? Because it's thinking, what should I do? A lot of deers that get stuck in headlights is because a lot of them have not experienced that thing before. So when they see those two lights coming to them, they don't know what it is. The brain is going through cabinets because they are used to animals. So the deers that get stuck in headlights the most are the ones that have never been on the street. You understand? They had never seen a car at night. They are most of the time in the woods. So when they come and they see a car for the first time, they see those two lights coming at them. They are thinking, what kind of animal is this? Is this a lion? Is this a wildebeest? Is this a cougar? Is this a this? I've never seen it before. So the brain is frantically going through the cabinet and cannot see anything, has not learned anything, has not experienced anything, and is just trying to think, trying to rationalize, and before you know it, boom, it's too late. You understand? It's too late. It's too late because the brain has spent too much time trying to rationalize. All they see are two shiny things coming towards them, never experienced it before. And that's where the body fails. A lot of people, when they are met with those things that they've never experienced before, they are stuck. And that's why you must go beyond the body and start accessing this thing called the soul. Because the soul is raw data from the Father, that every experience in this world, He knows everything before you experienced it. He now gave it to you in your soul. Do you understand? The body has to learn. The soul receives. It just receives. So it's not like making up decision. You are receiving the decision. So it's not like cooking in your kitchen. It's like ordering food. You just wait and you are served. That's what the soul does. That's what the soul does. That's what reasoning is. Reasoning is not an effort. Reasoning is a receiving. Rationalizing is an effort. That's what your brain does. That's why you think about, oh, what your IQ, all those things. That's what you're reasoning. You learn it. You understand. You walk towards it. The reasoning is you receive it. And that's where your soul does the imagination, it does the passioning, and it does the intuition. Imagination, passion, intuition. So when you go against your soul, you go against your imaginations, your passions, and your intuitions. And this is where people get in trouble. That's why they end up with jobs they hate, with partners they don't love, and with doing activities that they don't care about. They ignore those three things: your imagination, your passion, your intuitions. We all have those things in our soul. And that's why little children are so incredible. Little children are, you know, when it comes to imagination, passion, and intuition, they are a bundle of those things. A bundle of those things. That's why at a very young age, they learn things very easy. You see, a baby just begins to have this intuition to walk, to crawl, to just move forward. And before you know it, the baby that couldn't crawl before, never experienced it, just feels, I should do this. And it just begin to crawl. And after a while, after crawling, baby just feels, I should stand right now. And doesn't question it. Have I stood before? Do I know the feeling? Do I know the this? It just stands. And just walk into the room and just say, whoa, whoa, she's standing. Look at her, look at her. She doesn't even know what she's doing. So when you start looking that she's looking at you, or he's looking at you, the baby, and they say, what are they looking at me for? And then they realize they're doing it. And when walking starts to, you just realize they just walk towards something and they don't even know they've done it. Do you understand? You as the parents that just gasp. Oh, it's intuition. They are so connected with their souls. Unfortunately, we are the ones that detach them from this soul. Do you understand? From with our rationalization, our thinking. You understand? Our experiences, our past failures, our education. We tell them you should not be doing this now. You go and meet the experts, and experts tell you it is too early. They are too late. They should be doing this by now. They should not be doing this by now. They are too fast or too slow. But the child is just true to their soul. So we try to force the child to learn from our experiences and our education and our exposure. Then the child becomes detached from the soul and dependent on your information. And the child grows up more and more to learn that the soul doesn't guide. You see, that soul that made them do the most important things in life: crawl, walk, or stand and walk. They start detaching themselves from it to do the basic things in life, which is please people, blend in, be appreciated, be validated by other people. So they don't validate themselves anymore. So they don't use that raw data anymore. Then the child that needed no information, that didn't need to make any information to do those incredible things like crawling, standing, and walking, now begins to be somebody that gropes for information to do things that are less incredible. Like, what should I eat? Who should I date? But you didn't need information to know when to stand, when to crawl, when to walk. And it's when we lose those things, when someone cannot walk anymore. I realized someone in an accident that affects their nerves and they can't walk and they have to learn to walk. You see how those people sweat when they're doing those kind of therapies to get them to walk? That shows that they're trying to teach the brain. They're not trying to teach the brain because they're using information to tell them to move that leg again. That's something a child did very easily. So the soul is so important. The soul receives through imagination, through intuition, and through passion. And children are raw examples of people that are attached to their soul. Now, by a child that grows up in the ghetto, in the slums, in the trenches, can still have imaginations of being the president of a country, of being a princess or a queen. They are raw because the soul is telling them where they are headed. The information is so raw, and they tell their parents, I'm going to be this. And the parents say, are you okay? Do you see anybody that is this here? You understand? So they use their exposure and then they educate them how nobody in their family has been that, and how nobody with their kind of education can ever get there. And for a time, the child resists and resists, and after a while, they beat the child both with their words and their discouragements, or some even physically beat the child into believing their rational thoughts. And then the child stops to receive that imagination from the soul. That soul was telling that person the future, what they were going to be. And some of you have had imaginations like that, and you've gone to schools, and the school has beaten that imagination out of you. You've hung out with friends, and those friends have discouraged that imagination out of you. Your parents have discouraged that imagination out of you. But that imagination is your destiny. That's why when you read the Bible, the story of Joseph, who was having dreams, and some dreams come in different categories, and imagination come in different categories too. Some of them we call them dreams, visions, those kind of things. But then he had an imagination of being a leader in his family. But his brothers, his family, were like, "Who do you think you are? You can never be." You understand? So they almost beat that imagination out of him. But he was tenacious, you understand, with his imagination. And God had to take him away from that environment that was trying to beat out what his soul was telling him. So some of you need to reconnect with that, your soul imagination. Very important. Imagination. Passion is another thing from your soul that a lot of people beat out. Your soul, you see, that way you see something. The first time I saw graphic design, I just knew this is what I want to do. The first time I saw someone speaking, I heard him speak and I was like, whoa, someone speaking like this, that would be great. And it just seemed so attractive to me. Do you understand? And just seemed like, this is what you should be doing. It wasn't a covetous thing, but it wasn't about the person. It was just about, whoa, I see myself doing this. Do you understand? I see myself talking to people. Remember, and this is me that used to stutter, heavy in stuttering. I don't think I have the best use of, the best library of words. You understand? But then I just knew, I just saw myself doing it. It was a picture in my head, an imagination. You see, and that imagination built up that passion in me. The imagination built up that passion, that attractiveness to, I'm drawn to this thing. I'm drawn to it. Some of you just see, sometimes someone just see a yarn, like my daughter just sees a yarn, and the first time she saw the yarn, just drawn to it. And just give her the yarn, and before you know it, she will knit something. My son just has a passion for drawing. I don't know where he got it from. He just saw it and just drawn to characters and stories and stuff like that. Not learned. It's a passion. And because they are still children, they are able to pick up these things. But then we must be careful who we surround them with. I tell you, what do you want to be in future? Don't need to ask anybody what they want to be in future. That will be received. They would receive it as time goes on. They'll receive. The answer is within them. But the soul will make it known when the time is right. So we tell them, oh, then the child tries to think. I tell them, are you sure you don't want to be an artist? Are you sure you don't want to be an engineer? Are you sure you don't want to be a model? No. Just allow them to be who they are right now. Passion is not what you want to be in the future. Passion is that thing that appeals to you right now, that makes the now everything to you, that makes you enjoy the present, that when you are doing, you are so zoned in the now that it seems like time stops. The past doesn't matter, the future doesn't exist. Only now doing that thing, do things really exist. Everything is beautiful in the now. That when passionate people work, they can work for hours without eating, without sleeping, because time is suspended. All those emotions of what the body needs to survive don't matter anymore. The soul is in a place of true expression. People who don't connect with their passion never understand that. They don't understand why those people that are passionate about their work are not eager about closing. They're not eager about 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. No, they're not eager. They want to stay there. People that play with Cristiano Ronaldo or Messi don't understand why they show up first at the training ground and go home last. You understand? They don't understand it. Because for them, that act of football is learned. For Cristiano Ronaldo or Messi or any great player, it is time standing still. It's a passion. When they see that ball, they must draw towards it. That's why they don't understand how they can play so late into their 30s. That should be impossible. But then age doesn't matter because time has stood still. Cristiano Ronaldo, in his mind, is still 17. You understand? Since he found that football, he's that young age. You understand? That's it. That's passion. That is passion. And how many of us work jobs for the aim of survival and kill passion? So you are doing a job you hate. You want to close. You are looking forward to the weekend. It shows that you are not passionate because you are not listening to your soul. Your soul has revealed a passion, but you've rationalized your passion. You didn't receive it. With what our soul gives us in terms of imagination, passion, and intuition, we must receive. And that brings me to intuition, which is the final thing I'll talk about. And it's probably the most important thing, your intuition. A lot of people have died prematurely because they do not receive the soul intuition. Intuition just flashes to your mind, just tells you what to do. You just do it. It's what we normally call instinct. It's the instinctive thing to do. You see, the brain rationalizes, calls it instinct, but it's intuition. It's much deeper. It's something you must obey now. It tells you get up from that seat. You must get up. It tells you don't eat that food. Don't eat that food. Stop eating. Stop talking. Walk away. Step to the side. And that's why you see things. I've seen a lot of videos that talk about the luckiest people alive. They're not the luckiest people alive. They're just people that are in tune with their souls. That just moved from a spot and a car came crashing the next minute at that very spot. Something fell from the ceiling that next minute that would have impaled them that very spot that they were standing in just a second ago. That's called intuition. It saves your life. Get down from that vehicle. Tell the vehicle to stop right now. But then you step into rationalize. I've not gotten to where I've gotten to. This is not where I paid for. This is not what I did. Get down. A lot of us have dulled our intuition, and because of that, we've gotten into serious trouble. Some lost their lives. Tell them, it's not my bus stop, but then I should get down here. Just get down. You understand? Go outside. Stay inside. Very important. Very important. Intuition. Intuition. We must learn to follow intuition. Don't pick up that call. Pick up that call. Have you ever picked up a call that you just say, something was telling me not to pick up this call, this unknown number? No, you did. That's happened to me so many times. Intuition is from the soul to save you. Intuition is for the soul to save you. You understand? So when you think of your imagination reveals a part of the future to you. Your passion makes you appreciate the present. Your intuition keeps you alive. You understand? A lot of us, we've learned what keeps us alive. We are letting our body tell us. So we are saying, eat a balanced diet, exercise, do yoga, meditate, all those things. They're not bad. But I've seen so many people that eat balanced diet and have died young. Exercising, they died right there in that gym, on that treadmill. Their heart gave up. So it's more than those things. It's more than those things. Yes, do those things, but those things are not the highest level of the answers. They're not the clearest answers. It is those little things that we think as imagination. Oh, you're just a dreamer. Get out of here. Passion. People tell you, nobody lives for passion anymore. Passion doesn't feed you. Intuition. Say you're too flighty in your decisions. You just change your mind anyhow. But you're in tune with your soul. Those people that tell you those things do not understand your soul. And when you meet somebody That when you tell them, I'm not going anymore, and they say, I understand why you're not going anymore. It's okay. We are not going to this place anymore. And tell them, this is my passion. And tell you, okay, it's okay. Follow your passion. And and you tell them your imagination, and like, wow, I actually see you doing that. That person, those people are who you call your soulmate. They are called your soulmates. Your soulmate is not someone that you just fall in love because you like their hair, you like their nails, you like their body shape, you like their six pack. It's not soulmate into a romantic thing. It's not a romance. It has nothing to do with romance. It has to do with understanding and alignment. Those people that align with you, with your imagination, with your intuition, and with your passion. That is your soulmate. You don't need to explain too much to them for them to get it. Hold on to those people. Those are your soulmates. Those are your soulmates. If you are married to that person, oh, you are so lucky. Incredibly lucky. Someone that they get it. They get it. And they affirm it. And they encourage you to continue to listen to your soul. That's great. But if you don't happen to be married to them, you can be a friend. That's why I say it doesn't have to be a male female. It can be a male male relationship. It can be a friend. That friend that you just have to talk to, and you guys, the person gets you, and you get them. So aligned. Very important. They're your soulmates. So that's what the soul is for. Incredible equipment given to us, but highly underused. Highly underused. Every time I record my podcast, my soul tells me to record it. Today I was getting my son ready for school, and my soul just said, go and record that thing on the soul right now. So I had to tell my son, okay, get dressed by yourself. I'll come back and check on you. I need to go and record this. But it has to be now. I can't question it. I can't say, when I'm done with this. No. It has to be now. That's why when people came to meet Jesus and said, I need to go and bury my father first. They know you're not ready. Your soul is telling you it's now. Your soul is different from rationalization. Rationalization might give you what seems to be the clear answer, but then it's the worst answer. Just like when I was reading the Bible, there's the part in the Bible, I think Matthew 16, where Jesus asked his disciples, who do you say I am? And Peter said, you are the Messiah. And Jesus said, flesh and blood has not told you this. He says, your brain has not told. That was my flesh and blood. Your rationalization, your flesh and blood has not told you this. It is your soul that has told you this, with the help of the Spirit. So I'll talk about the Spirit. I said we are not born with spirit, but we take on spirits. There are spirits everywhere. They are looking for hosts, a body to take over. You understand? And what spirits do is they corrupt the information the soul is trying to give us before it gets to us. You understand? So they corrupt it by taking some rational things and placing it within that information. So when you think of like the spirit of fear, it can take over a person. The spirit can take over a person. So what does it corrupt? It corrupts your imagination. So the spirit of fear corrupts imagination. So when you imagine great things, the spirit of fear will just take experiences and education and just pour it into that content called that pure content called your imagination, and then corrupt it and just say, oh, this will be the outcome of this imagination. This is why this imagination cannot happen. It's the spirit of fear. It toggles between the cabinets in your brain and takes things and pours it into the information your soul is giving you. So what it does, it stops you from receiving. It makes you begin to rationalize. It tells you, that imagination cannot work. Oh. Remember what you learned. Remember what you experienced. That's spirit of fear. The spirit of anger goes and corrupts what your spirit is telling you to do intuitively. You understand? So your intuition says this person spoke to you this way. It goes and tells you, slap him, punch him, kick him, get back. Intuitively. That's why some people say, I don't know when it came over me. It's a spirit of anger. Just makes you pick up that knife, pick up this. You understand? Go and do this. Tells you to do it without thinking. You understand? Tells you, so it corrupts your intuition. The spirit of depression corrupts your passion. It tells you it's not worth it. It tells you are not good enough. It tells you are too old, you are too young, you are not beautiful enough. Nobody is doing that. It's not growing. It's growing too slow. You're not making enough money. You understand? People are laughing at you. It corrupts your passion. Those are spirits. But there is one spirit that allows your soul to be audible. And that's called the Holy Spirit. It's the only spirit that can amplify your soul. The only. What it does is it puts a shield around your soul so that all those rationalizing doesn't stop you from the reasoning, that the receiving of the information your soul wants to get. So it fights for you. It fights. It's a serious battle, but it fights those other spirits to get them out of you. The soul is very important, and we must learn to access it. Very important to learn to use this equipment called the soul that God has given us. It's the answer. That's the answer you need. It's right within you. Right within you. That is where clarity is found in the long run, within that equipment called your soul. I hope someone out there can listen to this and begin to receive the answers they already have to those questions, that those areas of confusions in your life. Use your soul. It's more than what gets you to heaven. It's what makes life on earth here beautiful. Beautiful. Life here on earth should be beautiful, but only for those who are able to tune into their soul. Your soul will make you live by a different set of standards. A different set of standards. So I want to encourage someone today. You have the answers within you. You have that manuscript within you. Listen to it. Listen to it. Some of you need to unlearn some things, detach from some relationships, stop listening to some kind of music, stop reading some kind of books, stop watching some kinds of movies, so that you can tune in to your soul, which is your real self, before you die. And that's why when people die, they normally say, may your soul rest in peace. Because it's at the end of their life that people really realize, oh, I had all the answers. The soul stops fighting at death because the body, the main opposition, is gone. Now the soul is clearest at death, but a lot of times it's too late to do what you ought to do at death. So your soul rests from fighting, but your soul might be defeated also at the end. We don't want to go out of this earth with a defeated soul. You want to go with a victorious soul that said, at the end, I was clear and I expressed myself.